This is the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 14th, 2016. We don't have any minutes to adopt, but we'll do a few things before we get to the applications. First off, I just want to say this is our first meeting without Brian Cook here. Brian Cook has been the building inspector for a great many years. Even longer than, well, almost as long as I've been on the board. But I do remember the first couple of years I was on the board, the building department was a mess. We would have applications come before us. You couldn't tell from the paperwork that we had what was going on, whether this variance was needed, that variance was needed, or if there was a problem at all. And I can tell you, all that changed after Brian took over. He really brought order to the building department, and being the building inspector, you really serve several bosses. Number one, you're serving the village, the residents of the village. We have a code that's been adopted that really is there to protect the village residents. He's also serving the village staff here in the village, but he's also serving the applicants. I've over my career, I've been on this board for all kinds of different applications. I've been here as an applicant several years ago when we did some work on the inside and outside of our house. I've been here as an applicant on behalf of the country club, and I would say in every single instance, Brian Cook made these meetings very easy. With Brian, you always knew exactly what you had to have at meetings to be prepared to make the case that you wanted to make. And Brian was always extremely helpful with applicants. There are times that people in the community need some advice, as to whether they will need to go to this board or that board. If they do a wall here, a wall there, a short wall, a tall wall, all different kinds of things. And Brian was never short of being helpful for anyone. So we will miss Brian a great deal. The good news is, Ed Manley has been working hand in hand with Brian for a number of years. We've seen his work the last couple of large applications that have been in front of the boards, and we just hope that Ed will have all the success that Brian had, because that was a great deal of success. We look forward.
Welcome, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Is the anyone here for He Kim yet? Why don't we talk about this resolution then for a little bit? We won't take too much time. Have you been involved in this resolution at all, Ed?
I've looked at it. This one is, you're talking about Briary and Hilldale?
Oh, no. This was this is the one that Darius wrote for Liz to sign.
75 Main.
That related to 75 Main.
Oh, okay.
And I circulated it to guys, and we typically don't do all these whereas and wherefores and try to set the stage and whatnot. I'm not sure that there's a great deal that's objectionable in here, but there are some things like SECRA where we're clearly not the lead party, and I think we need to do some editing.
I agree, and I think this might be the view of some others. I think a lot of this goes beyond anything that we found or considered, and I'm not too comfortable, stating things that exceed what was actually something we were in a position to make a finding about, and something that had a role in our decisions. I think if we go through it, there's I mean, I think the first two paragraphs, other than iconic, I guess I can live with. It's pretty iconic.
Should we maybe just do edits and send them to me and?
Sure. I mean,
Do that.
yeah, because I mean, my feeling is paragraphs 3, 4, 5, and 6
Right.
aren't things that we discussed or considered or that
Yeah.
were before us.
There are a few whereases that have to do specifically with the zoning
Right,
variances.
right.
And many of them that don't. And to your, not that they're necessarily objectionable, but at the same time, our purview's relatively narrow. We looked at something very specific. Seems like the document should be very specific, but that this document seems much more broad and really more intended for the full board to sign.
Right.
And then the whole second issue, which I'm not terribly qualified to comment on, but it didn't seem like, we
Yeah,
never even spoke about it. I don't even know what it
Well, and I looked
entails.
it up, and, that's for lead agency.
Yeah,
And we clearly are not that.
yeah, okay. I'll leave it to the lawyers too.
Okay.
But I agreed, I went through and just struck out whole whereas paragraphs,
Yeah.
just because I felt like it wasn't salient to what we spoke about.
Okay, yeah, when, as soon as you can, I guess I would say, if you just send the edits in some easy fashion for you.
I'll hand mark it and scan something over and send it
Okay,
around for the.
yeah, however is easy.
I would say one thing, though, just to make a specific point, on the whereas at the bottom of page 3 of 6, the second from the last one,
Yeah.
about public was permitted to comment on the area variance application. Was there an issue about proper notice? I thought
No.
there wasn't? Okay,
No.
good. All right.
No, there was just someone that said, well, you can't make a decision.
Oh, it was
It's
summer.
July.
Yeah,
People might be on
Fair enough.
vacation.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, good, thank you.
Chairman, I haven't seen this resolution. I believe you voted on the variances for 75 Main Street last month.
Oh, absolutely,
months
we
ago.
did, and this was just a resolution that was recapping things.
We would typically just
And he
approve
added-
minutes.
He added
And it,
chapters that
it,
didn't
it,
pertain
wa-
to the
it
variances.
it wasn't for us to sign so much as it was ours to review. It's drafted for Liz Draper to sign. I'll send you a copy either tonight or in the morning, and if I don't, shoot me a note and I'll get it to you. And with that, I apologize for the delay, and we'll move on to application filed by He Kim for 2 variances. Anyone here for that?
Briar Road.
Yes.
Oh,
Good evening, William Blackmore, Hudson Engineering and Consulting, PC, Elms Ford, New York. What's before you this evening is an application for a single-family residential lot located on the corner. Located on the corner of Hilldale and Briar. The lot is actually 5,001 square feet in size. Because of steep slopes, we performed a steep slopes calculation, which is located in the lower right-hand corner of the submitted map, that we require a reduction of 300 square feet of property from that. So the variance that we're looking for is A, for that 300 square feet. Additionally, when you take the lot width as described by Village Code, we require a 2.9-foot lot width. That's due to the irregular nature of the lot itself. In conversations with Brian Cook, and if I may say, I agree with you 100%, the degree of professionalism that he added is fantastic, and I wish you much success, Mr. Mann. When we spoke with him, he said at the time that the porch that's shown at this location on your plan is shown encroaching in the front yard. He said because it was a porch, we did not need a variance. However, if it's deemed differently that we would need one, then we would eliminate the porch. So we're not looking for any variance on the structure itself, because we're just trying to define the envelope of the lot so that we can have flexibility with access to the lot. We're very much aware of the site distance issues in terms of location. We feel that we've solved that situation and we'll submit that the best location always when you're dealing with site distance is to be on the concave However, if we come off of Hilldale here, at this location, as far back as we can from here, make this the garage, we now have a clear line of sight coming directly with Hilldale coming out, and of course, a controlled intersection of Briarwood. So that'll be part of it, that's why we want the flexibility of the footprint for the house not to require any variances.
Before you go too far, this is a property that has historically been difficult. And 7 or 8 years ago, when this application came to us, we suggested that because of these issues, that the best place to start would be the Planning Board and Architectural Review Board, because this lot can probably, well, can possibly take a house. I'm not sure that it can take the house that you're talking about right now. And, you know, while you're not looking for great variances from this board, I think this board would be more amenable to more substantial variances that arose because of better placement and better design that was worked out with the Planning Board and Architectural Review Board.
Understand, so what you're recommending is that we apply to the Planning Board for, what would we be applying for?
I think it would be site plan.
And we would be able to go for a site plan?
With a referral from this board?
Yeah.
Referral, okay, that's what I'm, because I just don't want to go back to Planning Board and say, what are you doing?
You know, and, you know, I'll talk to Steve Hunter, who's the chair of the Planning Board, and I think it would be helpful if you maybe have the Architectural Review Board head talk with Steve too, because I don't know if joint meetings or at least some kind of conversations would probably be helpful.
Would it be helpful to start, if I may, would it be helpful to start with the Planning Board just to deal with issues of siding the structure?
I think that's your main issue.
If we come to a situation where a house plan is developed, you know, at this point, there is no house plan developed. We're looking for just the building envelope so we can develop the house plan.
Right.
So if we take it in those steps, then we could develop a preliminary house plan. But going to architectural review for textures and colors at this point would be very premature.
Yes, yes.
And eventually, of course.
Yes, I look at more as the type of the house, because that is a neighborhood that has a particular flavor. And that's an important, you know, that's an important location within that neighborhood. And I think if you could get the proper placement and the proper type house, which may be a good bit smaller than the house that, you know, that you just threw up as an envelope. You know, I think that would be the best path to success.
Then come back here.
Yeah.
For the granting of variances.
Yeah, and, you know, the variances you're talking about are not,
We feel they've been
are not great. And, you know, if there were further incursions that came about because of a better design, I think we would be sympathetic to that.
Understand?
Okay?
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
And you will send off the letter to the planning board, or you will speak with them?
We should have a meeting to discuss your building plans, because as you say, a covered front porch can protrude into the front setback, I believe 10 feet or 50%, whichever is less. But the height, you're not measuring it to the right place, and, you know, there are other variables as far as height that the ARB is going to look at, and that's sky exposure plane, and you're not going to make it with this structure,
We will set a meeting.
okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank
You know, and the sky exposure plane may be something that encroaches further if this thing gets pushed back. You know, so Michael probably should get in the loop. I'll shoot Michael a note as well as Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and the last is Stephen Calley. Public hearing for Stephen Calley.
Oh, I'm
For the signs? 88 Ashford.
sorry. And yeah, Ashford, I was waiting until the address.
Sorry about that.
Do you need the mailings, do you take these, or?
If you would give those to the building inspector, he is the keeper of the cards, if you will.
We don't take these any longer, we'll get the affidavit signed and notarized with a copy of the letter and a copy of the mailing list.
Okay, all right, that's the,
And it's your responsibility to keep those.
okay. Okay, so we're here for Appleman. They recently had a sign on the building.
You should use the mic so that everybody can hear.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, otherwise it won't get picked up for the other people at home.
And please state your name.
James Polinsky, representing Prime Inc. Okay, so Appleman recently had a sign installed on the building. Now he's trying to get a freestanding sign in his property. It's an urgent care facility. He's having customers and clients having a hard time finding the building. So he wanted something out by the street, this way he thinks that when they're driving down, they can see. We understand that freestanding signs aren't really allowed in the village, that's why we don't propose them for a normal customer or anybody. But since this is a hospital, needs to be seen at night, and that's what we're proposing. It's a 3-foot by 5-foot carved sign, which is, you know, an elegant sign with some gooseneck lighting, down lighting on top of the sign. Nothing that it would shine up in the air, nothing that's gonna be too bright, nothing that's gonna distract cars. Just something that he has out on the road by the main street there, that a passing car could see it and pick it up. Because it's very hard to see the sign that's just on the building. The whole building is medical. He owns the building. The whole building is both medical offices and doctor offices. He's not looking to do anything else other than the urgent care itself.
Why does he think people can't find 88 Ashford?
He says that just people are seeing the sign on the building as they're driving by. And especially now, you know, we're coming into winter, it's dark early. He's just trying to get a presence out by the road.
How long has the sign, the newly installed sign, been up?
I would say, let's see, 3 months.
Has it, and does that have light? It does have light. No, it does have light.
Same gooseneck light.
Okay. And I guess the argument is that that hasn't done the trick in 3 months, 3 months of trying?
Yeah, he's just saying it's not doing the trick, and it's coming into, like I said, the winter, where it's just gonna get darker, and he just would like to have something out in the park, and easily pick it as they're driving down the street. There's many, you know, the St. John Riverside Hospital has a freestanding sign, there's Forest that has a freestanding sign, the Animal Hospital has a freestanding sign, the professional building has a freestanding sign. All the local churches have freestanding signs.
And is there writing on both sides of the sign, or?
Writing on both sides,
And lights on both sides.
and lights on both sides.
Can we see the images of the other signs that you looks like you're flipping through?
These are all freestanding signs, so
All along the same street, these are all within
these are all in
a
dots.
reasonable distance?
They're all in dots, very reasonable distance.
And are these just, do these signs happen to fall, either they have had variances or they fall?
Pre-exist today's code.
Okay, and some of them may fall into this other zoning, maybe not. So
No,
other
the other
zoning.
zonings are Chauncey Park
Oh.
and the Gateway.
Is Appleman a chain?
I believe so.
I guess I'm just, the sign is just very unattractive. Yeah. I guess that's an issue, though.
This would still have to go to ARB for approval if you grant the variance.
Yeah, I know.
I would say that I'm concerned about the height of the lights and the proximity to the road, whereas that wall, that retaining wall is probably 4.5 to 5 feet already, and then you're another 5.5 feet to the bottom of the light above that. And I think you should have some sort of cutoff eyebrow on this, so that the bulb can't be viewed by cars.
Do any of the other signs that you've shown to us, do they have their own lighting?
Yes, some of them are even light boxes with those, they internally lit, which
Yeah,
is.
St. John's is that way, I believe.
The church's sign is lit.
The church is.
Sacred Heart.
Okay. And they're all more or less, I mean, your design is, at least the mass of the sign, the arrangement of the sign is more or less in keeping with, 2 posts, sign in the middle, et cetera.
Well, of course, all clients and they want a big billboard on the side of the road. There's no way that you're getting a billboard there. Let's go for the smallest, most effective sign that may be allowed.
And this is, I would just highlight that this is an urgent care facility, so there is some utilitarian kind of benefit to
Yeah.
folks kind of in a hurry, in a rush, in an emergency.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
And, as far as I don't think the sign is horrible looking at all. I thought it was actually, especially a carved sign, classy sign like that, white with black, painted letters and the red painted letters, everything carved.
I don't think that's
I don't think that's
I don't think that's necessarily our decision anyhow.
I don't think that's a bad looking design or sign.
So I'm just looking at street view. I mean, it's a commercial area for the most part, at least it's very close to a commercial area.
And as far as the question is, I've been thinking about if it's a franchise. I'm not sure if he's the sole owner. I know there's other Apple Men's. I don't know if it's, a giant franchise or it's just this one fellow that has several.
Number of, okay, yeah.
Several. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure. Like I know there's, the AFC Urgent Care that's, a large.
Yeah.
But I'm not really 100% sure on that. I know we've done at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was just
Apple.
trying to get at the coloring and lettering aspect.
I guess they're further down. There aren't that many signs actually in this area.
How?
If we grant permission for this, would we, can we modify the size of the lettering? Because I have a little concern that it's.
I believe
a little-
that's the
No,
AHRB.
you wrote the AHRB.
A coloring, print, probably even what's on the sign. I think we are approving location. And what's the allowed sign size here?
This is within the allowed.
This
size.
is within the allowed size,
Or
okay.
a freestanding sign.
Okay, so we're allowing placement.
Yes.
Right, in this zoning area
Yeah.
district, right?
Yeah, and with this, the concern about passing cars and all that, if we could put a 40-watt bulb or something very small, in the gooseneck that's shining right down, nothing that's gonna, and where the housing really does keep it right there, and we're gonna use a small gooseneck light that it's not gonna allow, because if we put a big
Yeah.
monster on it, it's just not gonna look right. So it's gotta be proportionate to the sign, which is 3 by 5, isn't that big anyway. For us to fit the 2 lights, we would probably have to even do just, I don't even know if we could do a bulb, but do a little LED fixture, something that has a soft glow.
And does the police department have a
I don't-
opportunity to comment on the traffic implications?
I haven't heard anything from them. We could ask them, but,
I don't
the
think they've ever
ARB
been.
will also look at the lighting. That's under their purview as well.
Okay.
And, our code calls for full cutoff, so that the bulb cannot be seen from a horizontal distance, and I would carry that over to an angled distance to the road. So it should not be seen from a passing car, the bulb.
Yeah, so you may have to be careful what kind of goosenecks
Yeah.
you'd use. You know, because it is elevated.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue. Whether we do, have the bulb further up in the hood, having a longer hood, and it's, like I said, we're only trying to illuminate 3 feet down, so it's not like we need something crazy.
Yep.
And is this open 24 hours a day,
Yes,
7
it
days
is.
a week? No.
No more questions?
Okay. I won't ask if you have any questions, sir.
I move to approve the
Move to close.
application, I move to close.
Second. All in favor, everyone? And,
I move to approve the application, subject to the understanding that final aesthetic determinations will be up to the ARHB.
I second. All in favor? Good luck to you.
Okay.
Deadline for the next meeting shall be tomorrow, Wednesday, the 26th.
Okay,
So 9/6.
okay. All right, thank you very much.
Do you want your handouts?
Do you want these, or?
Yeah, you may
Might
need
as
them
well
for
use them for the next board.
next meetings. Okay, good luck. Okay, next up is the application by Ivan Malamet, 126 South Lawn Avenue. We don't get cards back, or we do get cards back now?
No, we started it quite a while ago,
Okay.
having an affidavit, and it actually says in our code that an affidavit is due, and ran it by the village attorney. So it's an affidavit that they sign, get notarized, and a copy of the letter that they sent to the neighbors, and a copy of the mailing list that they got from the town of Greenberg. So then it's.
Okay, so they can actually hand deliver them if needed even.
No, it still has to go out certified
Oh, it
mail,
does?
but
Oh, it
they
does?
we don't require return receipt anymore. Because it doesn't, if they
Oh,
don't pick
li-
it up, it doesn't really matter, it just adds cost to
Yeah.
the process. But they are swearing and attesting to the fact that they sent them out through the post office certified mail, and they're keeping the receipts and giving us the affidavit.
Okay, let me just read the rest of this notice. It's an application filed by Ivan Malamet for 2 variances to construct a new detached accessory garage building located at 126 South Lawn Avenue. The proposed new accessory building shall be located no less than the required front yard setback, 25 feet required, 2 feet 2.5 inches provided, thereby requiring a variance of 22 feet 11.5 inches. No accessory building shall be located near the front line of the principal building to which is an accessory, and this clearly is in the front. So who'll be heard on this application?
Yeah, Ivan Malamet, 126 South Lawn Avenue, Dobbs Ferry.
Okay, why don't you just run us through the application, if you would?
Well, I brought some photos.
Thanks.
I'm looking for 2 variances to build a detached garage in the side of my house, in the front of the east side of South Lawn Avenue. And the detached garage is going to look very similar to the way the house front is, with a roof. It's going to be a 1-car garage, and right now it doesn't have doors. So it's just going to be able to park the car with the garbage cans in it. And that's basically it.
Okay, you would put doors on if the architectural review board was so inclined.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's going to be stuccoed, it's going to be cement walls, and it's going to be finished stucco on the sides.
And just for people at home, the reason the variances are needed on this is that South Lawn is on the side of a hill. The houses and garages on Mr. Malavat's side are, the houses are all set back probably a story up from the street, and those houses that have garages, they're all right on the street, just a step or two back from the sidewalks, as shown in the pictures that he's provided.
And why the stormwater retention system? I'm just curious, just because there's a,
I think it was asked for.
oh, by,
Any addition of impervious surface requires we keep the stormwater
Right.
site.
Santa Moore, sorry, I didn't, yep.
And currently, are you parking one or more cars on the street?
Yes.
So this would effectively
Take the
remove
cars off the
one
street.
car?
Yes. And I also have a photo of the existing.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's his house.
Yes.
In the spirit of full disclosure, I live on South Lawn. Peter lives on South
Yeah,
Lawn, so.
you were close enough to be notified.
I was,
Yeah,
I was, I got.
I'm beyond that.
And, no Ivan, friendly with Ivan, but, as a resident, it's a great thing. We have a lot of cars on the street. And, and he's not, he's not asking to do anything that we don't have a plethora of already on the street. So, having garages, for us is a good thing, at least in my opinion. So, for what it's worth, I don't have any questions. I
No.
walk it every day. So,
Agreed.
Move to close the hearing?
Second, all in favor? Unanimous. Move that the application be granted.
Second it?
Second by Jeremy, all in favor? Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, you will. Be able to use those next time.
Yeah.
Do you want these two?
Sure.
Save you.
take care. Good luck.
Bucket too.
You know, I drove by this, there was like some big construction in the middle of the street.
The whole-
What's going on?
Con Ed
They're
is,
replacing all the gas valves? Is that what's going on? They didn't come down to our end yet.
I believe our end has been okay. Houses down at the other end sometimes lose gas because there's not enough pressure.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
it's.
believe they're getting a new line and it'll ultimately get to our end.
We had
We'll
our-
probably have no pressure.
We had our block party this weekend, and I brought the broom down so I could sweep all the debris and everything away. It was a mess.
Do we need to formally close?
Oh.
Yeah. Move to close?
Are we continuing the minutes? We need to do that.
Oh, we don't have any. We didn't have any in front of us.
Let's continue
Yeah.
them on the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just do that next time.
Agree to close?
Yep. All in favor?
Yes.
So in favor.